Welcome to Enjoy the Journey podcast, where we interview expert entrepreneurs and thought leaders to help guide you in pursuit of financial freedom. Presented to you by Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, where we help service-based business owners remove cash flow bottlenecks, maximize their profits, and turn business profits into personal wealth. G'day guys, this is Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, and we're here for another episode of the Enjoy the Journey podcast. And I've got a very special guest here today, AJ Mihrzad from the Online SuperCoach. AJ and I were connected online because we kind of float around the same circles of individuals. We sparked up a conversation and kind of hit it off, and I could see that there's a tremendous amount of value that AJ can share with our audience, whether you be a fitness professional, whether you be an online business owner, whether you be a coach or a consultant. There's going to be a lot of great stuff to come out of this conversation. And AJ's got a tremendous story of how he's actually gone through growing and scaling his businesses and helping people in his space. So I'm really excited to chat today. So AJ, thanks for joining us, mate. How's things?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Jackson. Thanks for having me. Excited to be on your show.
Mate, so give us a little bit of a background. For those of you who don't know you, what's your story, AJ?
Wow. I could go super far back, but I'll summarize it. I came to the States as an immigrant. We had a really war-torn country, came as refugees. And coming here, I had to learn a lot of things for the first time. My parents did the best they could, but they were having a language barrier. So a lot of what I had to learn was being self-taught. And through there, I always had this interest in developing myself and become the best man I could be. Over the years, I gained a lot of weight. Now 60 pounds overweight at my heaviest. Then I discovered the wonderful world of fitness because I just wanted to get myself into shape. And upon doing so, lost the 60 pounds. I had this amazing excitement to help other people do the same. I gained this new confidence, this new energy, and I became a personal trainer. Personal training was a lot of fun, and it was just a great feeling to coach people, transform their mind, transform their body. And over time, I saw that while being a personal trainer, I was kind of limited in this, time for money trap. I was working back-to-back clients from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I knew that I could not sustain this for a long period of time. Like any entrepreneur, you want to increase your income. And I realized that I could not do it within this model. So around 2009, I started looking into online training, and I hired a mentor who really changed my life. He was a phenomenal online marketer and taught me the world of online coaching. And from there, I started doing that and developing momentum, really sharing my strategies with a lot of other trainers. And then I was asked to speak at a lot of different fitness events. Hey, can you teach us online training and online coaching? And I was like, wow, there's a big need for this. I'm not alone in feeling stuck in time for money. So I started teaching personal trainers and coaches how to build online training businesses. And that's been a lot of fun, a big part of my purpose and mission over the past 7 years.
I love that, man. And I guess you're kind of one of the founding fathers of this like online coaching space, which is amazing. And I think your skill set and the foundation that you've set have helped so many fit pros, particularly heading into this COVID situation, be able to pivot quickly and be able to make the most of the opportunity that has come from this like really kind of chaotic situation. So, AJ,
Absolutely.
in terms of I understand that the escaping of the time for money trap, because obviously you can increase your hourly rate and you can try and grow your kind of face-to-face one-on-one coaching business, but that only gets you so far, right? You've only got so many hours in the day. When did you see the opportunity for the online space, and how do you feel it's different for trainers today to be able to really make the most of their skill set when they go from that face-to-face to online?
Yes, I believe that you have to have the fundamental skills, get certified, be able to coach people, get them results, and at the same time, have a wide variety of clientele that you work with, because oftentimes if people just go right into online training, there's a learning curve. You have different populations, some people with injuries or dietary deficiencies, and it's very hard to do that unless you have the basic understanding. I believe any type of coach should have some hands-on one-on-one experience before they go to one-to-many or develop a course. And I think that's a good starting point to be able to get results, to have some basic certifications and basic education. And at the same time, understand that when you're transitioning to an online business, it's going to be very sales and marketing heavy, because I have certain trainers that I work with and there's just very anti-marketing. I don't need to market myself. I work on referrals and I don't want to be this person online creating videos and positioning myself. But if you don't do that, no one's going to know who you are. It's a very competitive space. And of course, locally at a gym, you get some referrals or people can drive by and see you. But online, you can't just put up a website and people are going to knock down your door, So it's really a big transition for me was, instead of being a personal trainer who does marketing, I was a marketer who sold personal training. And then once I made that distinction of like, I had this amazing gift and this transformational fulfillment. However, I need to market myself and keep that as a big priority as well in order for my business to grow.
And I think this is really key, AJ. Like my first online business was a men's e-commerce brand, and I'm looking into it, and it was very naive of me. I just thought, oh yeah, I'm going to build this e-commerce website, and then traffic's just going to come. It's the internet, and I just didn't realize the mechanics of. I didn't know what I didn't know, and it was when I kind of launched that business, and there was crickets, and no one was hitting my website. I'm like, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this taking off? And I feel that there are many fit pros who just think, yeah, I'm a tremendous trainer. I get my clients good results. I can just go online and the stars are going to align for me and everything's going to work out. But that's just not the case. But I think the other most important thing here, AJ, is that when we shift online, a lot of it is about mindset, right? Because you're not there physically present with the client saying, hey, punch out that next rep or get that next couple of reps out. It's very much about helping these people with their inner game. So how did you adapt to that and shift in terms of how you actually delivered your service?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great insight because definitely I typically call it online coaching and not so much online training, because it's more of a coaching role that you have to take because you are working with people's mindsets and their accountability, their nutrition, exercise. I firmly believe that most people know what to do. It's not a knowledge problem, but it is a mindset and application problem. And I find the people that are really good at inspiring their clients in action, they have the best results, they get the most referrals, and they have the longest retention. So it's really understanding the mind of your ideal client, because as you know, in just about any coaching industry, service-based business, the people that can get their clients to take action on the information, they get the best results and they typically have the best programs. So when I first started 10 years ago, there were not a lot of apps and softwares that we have now. Now we have amazing wearable technology. You could track every element of your client's life and track their food, exercise, sleep, all of these things. So it's really easy to see which clients are actually implementing and which are, being lazy. And at the same time, there's a lot of communication tools that I didn't have. Back in the day, we just had Skype and some basic rudimentary things. It was so bad that I had to create my own app. I invested money to create something to communicate with my clients better. Now there's apps that do 20 of the things I had on my app, And the key thing is, I knew that in order for me to be the best coach I could be, I just master psychology. So I went back to school, I got my master's in psychology. And that was a really big game changer because I really understood myself a lot better, but I understood my clients. And when they were slacking off or coming up with excuses, or they were not implementing at the rate I wanted them to, I realized that it wasn't really enforcing more action steps or making it more complicated. It was like taking stuff away, or really getting to the root of the problem.
And that's so important. And I think that's important with your clients. But I think understanding yourself, irrespective of whatever business that you're in, but particularly as a fit pro, is so important. I see that many people have this like aspiration of kind of creating like a seven-figure business. I do feel that for particularly like online fit pros, the kind of holy grail for them is like hitting that first 10K a month. Then that invisible ceiling, right? Like there's many self-limiting beliefs that these individuals have around how much they should be earning and ultimately what they're worth. So what are the biggest challenges that you observe in your space, AJ, in terms of that inner game for your clients?
The biggest thing I would find is belief, lack of belief. I would say that you have this business, let's say it's in person, you work on the client hands on, and you could feel their energy and they're actually getting off their butt, coming to their, to their gym. It's a lot of work they're doing. So it's a sense of certainty, like I'm good at what I do. They're giving me money, they're investing in me, they're coming back every single week. It's a stronger bond. But whereas a lot of times when people are transitioning online, they're not getting that same connection. They feel like there's a lack of trust, or perhaps people don't see their value on the internet. And that's what I find is one of the biggest mindsets of, you know what? I'm much better in person, much better one-on-one with my clients. I just can't do this online stuff. The technology really dilutes my expertise. And that's a terrible belief to have. It's a limiting belief, and it's not true at all, because if you want to stay stuck, then great, have that belief. That's fine. But if you want to progress and help more people, I mean, there's so much people that need your help. You need to learn how to leverage your expertise, but also build that trust through the internet.
I think that's the opportunity has really opened up in COVID, because obviously COVID's been terrible in many different fronts. But I personally believe it's been a gift for business, because I think it's
Yes.
taken people who like previously might have had the belief that technology was a disabler, and they were trying to do it the old fashioned way, all belly to belly. And they were limited to clients in their vicinity. Let's call it what, like a 10, 15 kilometer radius, or be somewhere around there. And then now, like, you could work with clients on the other side of the world. And you now have the ability on the flip side as a client to choose the best possible trainer or coach or mentor anywhere around the globe to support you, as opposed to somebody who's just in your local area. So the opportunities are endless. Do you feel that the vast majority of people in your space view this as an opportunity, or do they see this as a hurdle or an obstacle for them to overcome?
The old statement, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And a lot of trainers who've been veterans or they've been stuck with one model, it's very difficult for them to transition and pivot. And they're having a hard time with the technology, with the systems. And sadly, I've seen a lot of trainers quit, or they got jobs in different industries. Someone who is a bit younger and more savvy to technology, or just more committed to learning, they're pivoting. And we all had to pivot in one way or another, whether it was with our families or traveling or plans or holidays, what have you. It's a mean word, but you pivot or die. And a business that doesn't pivot and constantly innovate, it's going to stop dead in its tracks. For the most part, within the fitness industry, what I've seen overall, it negatively affected a lot of people, because sadly enough, the average personal trainer earns 25,000 a year, and much less. That's just in America, much less in other countries. And oftentimes it's that mindset of like, well, I'm only making this much doing fitness coaching. Let me go try something else, not knowing that there's online trainers that are doing 6 and 7 figures just because they applied themselves.
I think that's the key. I think when you chase shiny objects, and you always see that the grass is greener on the other side, right? But it's that determination of sticking to what you're doing and just constantly iterating and improving that's so important. So, AJ, what do you think? I guess that first key milestone of getting to six figures, I think that's really the North Star for most fitness coaches and fitness professionals. What do you think is the most critical skills or things to do to get from where you are to that first six figures?
I think that when I look at a business, I look at the three parts. Every business has this: attract, sell, and serve. And I find if you focus on those fundamental areas of getting a solid client attraction system, just one main marketing funnel, you have one main sales process, typically selling a higher price item, meaning $1,000 to $2,000 coaching plan, as opposed to $100 $200 course. That's a key element of being able to really see, okay, if I have this many leads in a month and make this many sales, then I'm going to hit this number. And of course, you have the service element of having a leverageable program that allows you to help many more people. And on the low end, a lot of my students are starting off with $1,000 $2,000 programs. But let's just say you start off with a $2,000 plan. All you need to do is sell 4 of those a month to hit 6 figures in revenue. Now, if they put all their focus on attracting enough clients to sell, 4 programs a month, then that's a 6 figure business. And on the back end, I mean, most trainers can handle, 20, 30 clients a month.
And I think that's just simple. I think you're exactly right. This is not about putting more options on the menu. It's about taking stuff off, focusing on one thing. Like my old man always said to me, don't be fearful of the guy that's done 1,000 punches one time. Be fearful of the guy who's done one punch 1,000 times. And it's just about
Yes,
focusing on that one
that's
thing
right.
until you hit your reps. Um,
That was the thing. I literally follow the same formula to make my first $1 million, because at the time I was selling a $5,000 coaching program. And I said, okay, if I could make $100,000 a month consistently, that'll make me a millionaire, plus take care of, a little bit taxes and expenses. So I said, all right, all I need to do is sell 20 programs a month. So I'm going to put all my time and effort or getting enough leads and closing enough sales to sell 20 a month. So if I just sell 5 a week, then that's my number. And I remember just like I wrote it down inside my journal. My brain started putting the pieces together, and I said, everything that's outside of this, I'm not going to do, because all I need to do is do this simple formula.
And that's so important, AJ. Like we talk to our clients a lot about this, because there's so many business owners out there that just don't know their numbers. And it's even
Mm-hmm.
just simple numbers like that, just reverse engineering. I want to earn X. So this is what I need to sell, and this is how many leads I need to get. And it's just about having a really simple path to follow. But most people don't have this level of clarity. And as soon as you've got
Yeah.
that clarity, it gives you focus because you know exactly what you're trying to achieve. And
Peter Drucker said it best: "You can't manage what you don't measure."
exactly right. So let's assume that we follow the simple formula. We've got a client attraction system, we've got a simple selling system, and obviously we serve on the back end so we're getting our clients results. And if we hit those numbers, that should get you to six figures. It's a different ball game than getting from 6 to 7 figures. And I think that for many people in the fitness space, that's more of a dream than a goal. But you've done it and you've helped many people do the same. So what do you think is needs to shift and change to then take a six-figure business to a seven-figure business in the fitness space?
I believe it's the power of leverage. So, really focusing on your amazing superpower. So, you're doing well as a six-figure business owner, but you have identified that you have this amazing superpower, your gift, and one of the reasons why your clients are coming to you and they're getting the transformations. So, from there, it's identifying what that superpower is and spending more of your time and energy within that place. Anything that's out of your superpower, you want to eliminate, delegate, or automate. And as I mentioned, automation is one of the easiest things. We have so many apps and softwares that you can start to automate these little daily tasks, these things that take up brain power. Your precious superpower is being wasted on these little things. So that's a good place to start. And then you start to eliminate social media habits, bad social relationships. Just you're watching Netflix every single night. Start eliminating a lot of those things that zap your precious energy. And then it's the power of delegation. I find that very few people can make the seven figures without a team member. Even having a virtual assistant in the Philippines, like that's a good place to start. Eventually, a salesperson, a coach to help you out, and so on and so forth. But people could look at these employees as a liability or an asset. And I found that every single person I've hired in all my years of entrepreneurship, they've been a huge asset. It's a direct ROI. If I'm paying someone $5,000 a month, typically, they're bringing in a massive return on investment in that salary.
I agree exactly the same, mate. I think there's many people who turn this into a self-fulfilling prophecy that they go, oh, staff, staff are going to be a headache. I've got to manage people, or if I want something done right, I'm going to have to do it myself. All of these beliefs that we adopt, and we end up proving ourselves right. And I think if
Yes.
you adopt the mindset that your staff are an asset and that you leverage them for you to be able to grow and scale your business, it flips that mindset. And with that being said, AJ, I think many people, and I know I've personally made a lot of mistakes with hiring in the past. Where do you feel that people make the biggest mistakes when they are trying to scale a team, particularly in the coaching space?
Yes, it's a great question. Yeah, years ago, I was in this mastermind, a genius mastermind, aka the 25K group. A man named Joe Polish organized it, and he's a phenomenal coach for entrepreneurs. And he's really done a lot of homework to figure out the best mastermind, the best hiring process to bring people in. So he taught me about this test called the Colby test, the Colby Index, and it's probably the number one test for entrepreneurs to really understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And he shared with us to take the Colby test and see your strengths and see your weaknesses. And then from there, focus on finding key members to complement your strong points. So that's a good place I found. Let's say, for example, on my Colby, I'm very big with follow through, but I'm also very research minded. And sometimes I'm not a quick starter. So you kind of look at these clues and then you find the people that help complement your skill sets.
I agree with that, mate. We did the Colby a few years back. I'm a 3395, so I'm high quick start, but not great with follow through and fact finding. But my business
Yeah.
partner is the polar opposite to me. It sounds like he'd be a little bit more like you, AJ. And
Yes. I'm a
he's
big
the
fact finder.
he's the integrator. He takes all of the ideas out of my head and then I start them and then he finishes them. And you've got to find like the people that become the kind of the yin to your yang, right? Otherwise, you
Yes.
just end up hitting your head up against a wall. And I think the biggest challenge many people have when they're hiring is that they hire on a knee jerk reaction. They're like, oh, I had a crappy day or I had a crappy week. I need to hire somebody. And they end up hiring a person and then trying to create a role for them as opposed to creating a role and then finding the perfect person to fulfill that role.
That's an excellent point. So true.
And it's one of those things. I think so, guys. If you are listening, make sure you do the Colby A. It's about $55 US. It's one of the best investments you'll ever make. So
Yes,
I
I agree.
appreciate you sharing that, dude. So AJ, I think the other part that really plagues the fitness space, is money mindset. Not only about earning the money, but making the money work for you. And I think that there is a certain pressure that as a fitness professional, as a coach, you need to appear a certain way. And I think many coaches can fall into the trap of driving the flashy car or living the fancy lifestyle. And for that reason, their money actually isn't put to work for them. What's your view on how to be financially successful when you're making this big money to ensure that you're not just spending all of it and have nothing to show?
Years ago, and many years ago, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that book really shifted my mindset to really understanding what's an asset and what's a liability. And ever since I really saw that the basic fundamental principles of investing and really learning how to create wealth, I apply them immediately when I started my business. I really understood that there's going to be good months, there's going to be bad months. Business is often a seesaw. However, if you're diligently investing for the long term and you're not spending like crazy, right? It's good to enjoy yourself and to buy yourself things throughout in life. But also, I've been a big believer in keep your expenses low, right? Especially if you have a high profit, sometimes people increase their expenses to correlate with the profits. So I've always had the mindset of taking a large bulk of my income and investing it. And I've been doing this over the 20 years and has made a tremendous difference looking back on it. And yes, maybe I skipped out on some, five class hotels or some really crazy dinners or some crazy nights at bottle service. Who cares? I look back and I don't regret any of those nights, but I'm so glad to see my bank account and see that diligent investing that I did over the past 2 decades.
That's so important, mate. Like we call it the cash flow creep, that as businesses
Mm,
grow, the expenses grow with it. And it comes down to Parkinson's law, right? That as human beings, we
yeah.
use the means that we've got. And I think that I was always taught this by one of my first mentors who actually had a fitness background.
Oh
And he
wow.
said, okay, if you're gonna lose weight, the simplest way is to use smaller plates. Because if you've got a big plate, you're going to fill it with lots of food. And if you want to eat less, use small plates. So it's the same
Yes.
principle with your money, right? And you're exactly
Yeah.
right. You might miss out on the nice bottle of wine or driving the Porsche, but it's about setting yourself up for the future. So I think that's really key.
Jay-Z, the famous artist, he says, if you can't buy it twice with cash, don't get it. And that was like a mindset that I thought about, like because I do enjoy the finer things. I purchased a Bentley, which is my dream car, and for a lot of people, oh, that's a crazy. Why would you waste so much money on that? Well, first and foremost, I was in a place where I could afford to pay cash, and at the same time, I also learned tax laws. I wrote it off as a work vehicle, and I use it for all my marketing, and I feel like it gave me a direct ROI. Plus, it was a gift for myself that I got to enjoy, but I made sure that one, I could afford it, and also tax wise, I made it completely a free investment.
I
So it's
love
like
that.
there's so many little loopholes. And you're the expert at this, of really understanding one, how to make your money work for you, but also if you want to indulge and enjoy these things, you do it in a very intelligent way.
Exactly, 100%. There's smart ways to do things as a business owner, and it's about not being a slave to your money, making your money work for you as your number one employee that can work 24/7. So
Yes.
that's awesome, dude. So we've covered a lot of great topics here, AJ, and I feel that there's a tremendous opportunity for fitness professionals, PTs, and even people who are already existing online trainers, but maybe haven't hit their strides yet. So looking forwards with your experience, what do you feel are the biggest opportunities for people in the fitness space in 2021 and beyond?
The biggest opportunity is the power of authenticity. Now, we see what's on Instagram and really see a lot of Photoshop and manipulation and just crazy editing. And also, people are just showing their highlights like crazy, especially in the fitness world. But I do find there's a new type of fitness expert who is extremely authentic, shows the good days, show the bad days. And at the same time, they work on having a high level of authenticity and vulnerability, and that allows them to stand out. And that's one thing I found, because most people don't care about the six-pack abs or the round booty, whatever the case is. Yes, it gets a lot of engagement, gets a lot of likes, but most people say, what's in it for me? And people that are very relatable, people that just give amazing value, but also share in a very authentic way, I find they're going to rise to the top, as opposed to someone that has phenomenal genetics and they're showing themselves and selling a program as a cookie cutter that really doesn't get results for people. in a lot of ways, in the political and in the entertainment, people are starving for truth.
I really agree with that, man. And it's something that I adopted really early on because I think all of us, when we're younger and maybe a little bit more ego driven, we buy into what society deems we should do as entrepreneurs. And we try and put on
Yeah,
this facade and appear in a certain way. And it's exhausting. If that's not you, it's so hard to keep up that facade for the long term. So very early on, I kind of said, no, I'm going to bin that and I'm just going to be truly me. And it's one of those things that if you can be yourself, you're going to attract more of your ideal tribe, and you're just going to repel the people that you're not going to get along with and you don't want to work with anyway. And
I love
everyone
that.
wins, to be honest.
You're right, Jackson. That's an excellent point. And yes, you have your own unique brand, and obviously you show up as you feel like it, and you attract people that show up in the same way. And it's one of the best feelings when you're in a room full of people and you could all be yourselves and fully accept yourselves.
Exactly right. I think there's a lot of superficial stuff that's going on online, and I think this is a lot of people in the fitness space need to hear this because I think they're going to
Yes.
sigh a breath of relief to say, "Okay, I can finally be myself and shoot those photos that maybe don't show me in the best possible light," which is what we should all be doing. Just be yourself, right?
Yeah. I always say, people don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. And the
Yeah,
people that can show their crazy personality, their quirks, and because, someone could want fitness, diet, and nutrition. However, if you're into video games or comic books, or you have a quirky hobby, be authentic about that, because that's what was going to make people choose you.
I agree, 100%, dude. So we've covered a lot of great content, mate. And if we had to summarize kind of top 3 action items that people listening to this podcast can kind of take away and implement, what would you summarize those 3 things as?
Well, piggyback on my last point, people are starting for truth, the power of authenticity. And if you're in a place where you're finding your content's not connecting with your audience, well, here's a challenge for you. On a piece of paper, write down the 10 most weirdest or interesting things about you and begin to brainstorm ways that you could share that with your audience. Make a video about it, make a post about it, or maybe you have a strong stand against something that you see in industry, make a rant about it. Just be fully authentically yourself and start implementing that in your content. That's going to make a big, big difference. The second thing is really understanding your strengths and weaknesses. We mentioned the Colby A test. It's a great investment. It never changes. You do the test once, 10 years from now, you'll see it's remaining the same. And at the same time, I recommend that people do a time study where basically you're just, let's say Monday morning, you wake up at 7 a.m. and then you're up until 9 p.m. Every 30-minute increment for 1 week, write down exactly what you do. And then really ask yourself, is this aligned to my superpower, or is this something I could delegate, automate, or eliminate? And once you have it down on paper, you'll realize how much time you're wasting. Some people say, oh, I work 30, 40 hours a week. But once they do that time study, they'll be pleasantly surprised.
I
And
love it.
the last one, and the final one, is really understand investment and financial intelligence. And I know you're an expert at that. I would recommend Jackson and his program because, again, I did this early on in my life, and if I had someone like Jackson or some type of system I could use, that's even better. But it's never too late to start. Doesn't matter if you're 20 or 40, 50 years old. I mean, just getting your finances in order is everything, because everyone took a hit in 2020. Everyone except for Bill Gates and a few other people, Jeff Bezos. But for the most part, we all got hit in some type of way. But the people that plan ahead and people that save for rainy days and have a fund for catastrophe, we did okay. It didn't affect us that much. And I know Jackson has a great way of allowing you to set up that powerful foundation. I call it a moat, right? So you have this amazing moat, and no matter what tries to get you, it's not going to touch you.
And that's what it's all about. I think the Japanese summarize this perfectly, AJ, is that the kanji for crisis is kiki, and one stands for chaos and the other one stands for opportunity. So it's a matter
Mm,
of what's your perspective on it. When there's chaos, there's always opportunity. And I think it's guys like us and people who are listening to this podcast that are going to capture that opportunity by the hands and then run with it in 2021 and beyond. So I'm certain of it, man. So, AJ, I always like to finish off with positioning who's an ideal client for you. So maybe somebody's listened to this podcast, they really like what you had to say, but they don't buy the coaching, they buy the coach. So who's an ideal client for you, mate? And who do you want to be connected with?
I say the first thing that comes to mind is I love action takers, people that implement and do the work. I would consider myself an action taker, and I love being surrounded by people that put their head down and do the work. I feel a inch of action goes way farther than a mile of thinking, right? Even if you do it the wrong way, just get it done. So people that are always in their head and they can't implement, I don't want to work with them, right? Action takers only. And second of all, you have to be investment minded. I mean, Jackson and I, we probably spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in our own time and energy and our personal investments. You have to be in a place where if you want to grow a big business, you have to invest in yourself, invest in speed, having the right team, right? Because you can't be, cheap when it comes to putting money back into your business, right? Because I get people who want to join my coaching, and then I say, well, what's your budget for marketing? I don't have a budget for marketing. I figured if I invested in this, I'll get to six figures. No, it's not going to work like that. You have to have the investment mindset. Anything is a startup cost. So whether you borrow money, you have money, you need to invest initially to get that momentum going. And the third is honesty. We talked about authenticity. I love clients who are brutally honest when things are going right, when things are going wrong. And it's one of the best feelings. And I love when my students do this. If something's going wrong, if they're in their head, if they're just having a lot of self-doubt creep up, message me, post inside the group, share openly, because other people could be going through this as well. And of course, we are here to help you as a coach. We've been down this road before. Every problem you have, we have a solution for it. So that's the great thing about having someone who's honest, because if things are going really good, we're straight with a group. If things are going really bad, we'll fix it in 2 seconds.
And that's the value of a good coach and a good community, right? Is that rising tides
Yes.
lift all ships. And we all have a bad day. Most of us don't want to be the tall poppy to put our hand up and ask for help. But when somebody
Yes.
else does, we go, oh, wow, it actually feels good to know that I'm not alone here.
Yes. And I'm the same exact way as well, because every time I join a coaching program, one, I try to be one of the best top students. I want to be the best action taker to make my coach happy. And the second thing is I'm very, very honest, right? So I'm like, I'm investing a lot of money into this program. And if I'm not getting the results, if I'm not really implementing, whatever the thing is, I'm going to talk to that person and be like, hey, listen, I'm overwhelmed right now. I need your help. I did all of these things and they're not working. Please help me. So most people, like you love people to ask for help. I like people to ask for help.
That's what it's all about, man. And so, guys, if you've listened to this podcast and you feel like you do need some help, anything that AJ said has resonated with you, put your hand up and take action. Because ultimately, a good idea in theory remains exactly that, just a good idea until you put it into place. So, AJ, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to connect?
Yes, the best way is really simple. My main website, onlinesupercoach.com. Now, if you go there, I have a lot of great stuff. Actually, I have a free course. It's a free online training course that allows you to make an extra $5,000 to $6,000 in 1 week. Everything that I share with you, we have the marketing plans, organic marketing, copy and paste templates, a sales process to sell $1,000 to $5,000 online coaching programs. And you just got to hop into the course, download templates and implement it. And if you just go onto the site, you'll find that and a bunch of other free resources, because I'm a big believer in giving freely of the best information.
I love that, dude. We're going to keep all the links in the show notes. AJ, it's been phenomenal chatting with you today, mate. I'm super pumped about sharing this knowledge with the world, and look forward to catching up with you again soon, mate.
Likewise, Jackson, you're awesome. Thank you for this.
Appreciate it. So, guys, another episode of the Enjoy the Journey podcast. And make sure that you do follow, subscribe, and hit us up if there's anybody else you'd like to have us feature. And make sure you do reach out to AJ if you'd like to chat and learn more. Appreciate it, guys, and we'll catch you later.